I mean, just as a good luck charm,
Let's
you know?
pass the cup.
I mean, you know, if nothing else, a sideline reporter that could rub your head or something for good luck before they
As they walk out
the
the
yeah.
Go
I mean, you know.
rub Russ's head.
It hadn't worked for anything else, but you won a lot of games. You won a lot of rings.
And if you count up, well, we won't get into all that, but I mean, all the football, the basketball, the baseball, there's
a bunch of them.
rings.
I know. Yeah.
But
okay.
that was very special. The big thing was that, you know, Prep had that 7-peat.
Yeah.
7 championships in a row.
Yeah.
MRA would have had their 4th.
Right.
Well, now the 7-peat lives again.
Okay.
Because somebody's going to have to win.
Somebody's got to win again.
7 more, you know.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But it was a great night. Herbert Davis does a great job of preparing his team. And I'll tell you, John White, the quarterback for MRA, you know, Paxton Thompson graduated for Prep or will graduate. But John White will be back next year. Their running back will be back next year, and most of their receiving core will be back next year. And they'll be a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
But they dropped some passes. They fumbled in the second half, and that led to some opportunities. And
well,
I mean, nobody asked for their money back. Okay, that's the kind of game it was. And so it was a big night, and that's why you play that game over there.
right.
Outside of Mississippi College, what stadium in this area could hold 7,500?
I don't think there is one that I can think of.
I don't, you know, Germantown Stadium's pretty big, but it's not 7,500.
Yeah.
I know Mass Central not. So, you know, Mississippi College probably, because neither Millsaps nor Belhaven could even get there.
Mm-mm. No.
There's always Memorial.
Yeah, it's a little big.
Kind of get a little, everybody gets a great seat. But it is a little sparse. But, you know, the state championships this year will be at the Rock.
Right.
Down at
Which is a
Southern.
good site for that.
It is a great site. You know, it doesn't have, you know, the best television area in the world, but it's okay. But where you're sitting in that stadium, every seat is good.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, but I'm interested in Josh Collin tonight. He was,
Well, you got a good slate of
yeah,
people that are going to call in.
yeah. And Greg Flynn's going to call in and you know, kind of cover the Metro teams for us this year and how the Metro teams did. Jeff Hager's going to call about the South. You know how the Southern teams did. Jared Schatz. I asked Jared to call in about next week's championship games. He texted back, "I'm in the boonies for Thanksgiving, but I'll try to get to you if I can get a signal." But anyway, he's going to be along next Friday and Saturday for the state championships on MPB radio, which I think is really neat. And now they're going to carry our 2 All-Star games. You heard probably the promo with Jay White before we came on tonight. So, we've got folks from Brandon tonight calling. And look, if we don't have your school, feel free. We want you to call. Maybe somebody from Knoxville County that was at that game that is traveling home. You know, give us a call, 877-672-7464. That's 877. It's a free call. 672-7464. And we'd like to hear from, really would like to hear from someone on this Knoxville County game. Amory, Amory's another one of those teams that just goes under the radar every year. And then they wind up, you know, in this game.
Yeah.
Scott Central, I think we kind of penciled in back, I don't know, it was like in June, you know. We knew how good they were going to be. But there's there's some surprises. I'm not surprised Brandon won.
No,
I'm not.
I'm not terribly surprised that they won. I am a little surprised that Starkville put 41 points on Tupelo. They'd only given up 63 points all year long in 13 games. And Starkville, you know, just from the comments that we heard from Ray Coleman last week, talking about Starkville and how Starkville had really put it together. Obviously so. And so that's going to be a great championship game next weekend.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Final score in the 3A North.
Okay.
In overtime, Knoxville County edges Amory 52-51.
Whoa.
Don't you
So
know?
obviously they scored a touchdown and went for 2.
Yeah. I think Noah was saying that they got a touchdown on the first First try. Wow. Wow.
What a game.
52 to 51.
That's your kind of game.
I love those. Defense is only a rumor. Love those games.
All right.
We're going to take a timeout. Tonight's show made possible by the folks at Malone Roofing. They're more than just roofers. They're part of your community. We'll take a timeout and be back in a moment.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket.
With my Cricket plan, everything is consistent. It's always going to be the same price. No worries.
Cricket is easy, it's affordable, customer service is top-notch. That's why I've been with them for so long.
I got my phone from Cricket and it's amazing. As a journalist, I use it for basically everything.
Great phones, great deals. Now that's a story. Smile, you're on Cricket.
When you hear the words blue sky, it means clear sailing. When you stop at a Blue Sky convenience store to fill you or your vehicle up, it'll also be clear sailing. Fuel at competitive prices and a total convenience store with the beverages and your favorite foods that you'll come back for. When you stop at Blue Sky, it means clear sailing. Blue Sky wants you to have a great holiday season and hopes that you enjoyed today's game. Blue Sky, fast, fresh, and friendly.
Malones are competitive people. Come from a deep line with my father. There were 9 in his family, and they had to fight for everything they had.
My dad didn't allow us to have any quit in us. I mean, everything we did, we pushed hard. This isn't a job to us, it's our passion. We were bred to do this.
Get your school on the network now.
To subscribe, search for Southern Remedy on your favorite podcasting app.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights. Russ Robinson here along with George Broadstreet. Chris Saxon is producing in our studio tonight. And, what's his name's back there? Jason Klein. I like the kid with Jason. And Noah Crow's here. Ty Bailey's on the telephone. And we were talking just a moment ago about the All-Star games, which are coming up. Next weekend, you have the state championship games. A lot of these kids that have been playing in the last couple of weeks, you'll see and hear on these 2 All-Star games. The MHSAA game is in Alabama this year, but it's in a different location, and we're going to talk to Johnny about that in just a second. And then also the Mississippi All-Star game is back in Gulfport at Milner Stadium, and so we've been blessed with good weather all year, and hopefully that will continue here through the month of December. Johnny Mims stayed up with us tonight. How you feeling, by the way?
And I'm doing great, Russ. How's everyone tonight?
Everyone's great, man. High school football is, Johnny, it's big in this state, isn't it?
Man, I tell you what an unbelievable game tonight. It was just a great night for football, and just a lot of talent out here in this state.
Well, we just got the last score, and you've probably heard it, was Noxubee edged out Amory 52-51 in overtime.
Yeah, that was something else. I tell you what, it's just all these games tonight were just all great teams, and you hate to see anybody lose tonight.
Yeah, but that's why they play the games. And of course, next weekend they'll be playing the state championship games. And while those games are going on, of course, you and your crew have been getting ready, since back in the summer, for the MHSAA game and the Bernard Blackwell Classic, which is the week after that one. Johnny, the game has been up in Montgomery, ever since I can remember, when it's in Alabama. This year they have moved it to Mobile, which I think is a great move from a fan standpoint, because both the fans from North Mississippi and North Alabama, it's kind of halfway for both of them, and I just think it's a great location, and boy, what a facility.
Yes, Russ, we're excited about it. We used to have the game in Mobile, and around early 2000s, they moved it to Alabama, moved it to the city of Montgomery, made a pitch for it, and they moved it to the city of Montgomery, the Crampton Bowl, and of course we enjoyed it there. It was a great facility. They revamped the Crampton Bowl, and it was a really nice facility. But Mobile stepped back up and has been talking to the Alabama High School Athletic Association, and now they have moved it to the new stadium, the new South Alabama Stadium called Whitney. I think it's the Whitney Stadium.
I believe you're right.
Mm-hmm. And just a brand new facility, and we went over and toured it a couple of weeks ago, and wow, what a facility!
Well, we're excited about producing the game and airing the game over there. And we've talked about this so many times. And somebody called me this week. Well, I think it was Josh West called me. He was in the mountains for Thanksgiving, and he was watching one of the high school football games from the mountain. Technology has changed totally in the last 5 years, hasn't it?
Oh, no doubt, Russ. I tell you, just the amount of people that watch these games and being able to stream the ball games, and it's like tonight I sat and probably watched 5 or 6 of these games home tonight, and was able to kind of see bits and pieces of each ball game. So with what y'all do with this streaming and being able to get the broadcast out there to these people, it's unbelievable.
Well, it sure has changed over there, and since we've actually even started. And so this year you can find the game on FridayNightOnTheLights.com or FNUTL.com, or you can also catch it if you have Roku, if you have Fire Stick, if you have what's the other one, Chris? Roku, Fire Stick, and it's on Facebook, and it's on YouTube. It's just everywhere. It's on our app. It's on your website. So if you can't, and MPB's carrying the games on radio for the first time in a while, and I think that is a great thing, because during this time of the year, let's face it, Johnny, on Saturday, there's a lot of people doing a lot of different things, and they'd like to be able to slip in their car and listen to those games.
It is, Russ, and I tell you, what you do for the high school students and for these high school players throughout the state to be able to showcase the talent we have in the state is something that you should be commended for, and what y'all do. I tell you, it's just a great asset that we have, that we're able to do this for all of the players in the state of Mississippi, to showcase all of our talent.
Well, I appreciate that. I do. And I've enjoyed, obviously, my association with you. And we go way back, even to those games at the Crampton Bowl when Raycom had it. And it's just been great games every year. I got to be honest with you. I like our chances in the MHSAA game this year.
Well, we say that every year. We've got really, really good talent. And, of course, like I tell everyone, picking these teams is you have to – what these coaches go through to pick these players, and so some of the players that don't get to play in this game that play in our Bernard Blackwell game, they're all really, really good players. But we're excited what we're taking over there, and of course Alabama's going to have their rosters always loaded with players that are committed to the Alabamas and the Auburns and all of these people over in Alabama. So, but. We are very excited about what we're taking over there, and our coaching staff has been working diligently trying to get our team together, and of course, we've got a lot of our players are still playing, and I cross my fingers every night to hope that they, stay healthy and be able to ball game.
Well, that'd be horrible for that to happen, but your coaching staff. We were at the press conference, carried a press conference, and it's just a smorgasbord of men that are leaders of young men that are really good X's and O's football coaches.
You know, they're all really good coaches, and you know, I tell you what I like about them more, Russ. I get to know them more than just a football coach, and a lot of these, you know, all these coaches are the X's and O's. They wouldn't be in the position they're in, but they're all such good people. What they do for these players at their respective schools, and what they do in their communities for all of these young athletes throughout, you know, the state of Mississippi. You just, words can't describe them. I know we all get caught up in the wins and losses, and even some of these teams were put out, didn't make the playoffs, but you know, that doesn't mean they're not good coaches.
That's right.
They just didn't have a good year. You know, things like that happen, but you know, they're still working these players every day and spend probably more time with those players at their respective schools than their own kids if they have kids. So, you know, my hat's off to all of our coaches in the state.
Well, and to you know, make matters even more difficult to some degree, how many practices do these coaches get with these kids before they play the game?
Well, I think we get we'll go over there on Tuesday, and they'll practice Tuesday night, and they'll practice twice Wednesday, twice Thursday, and a walkthrough on Friday. So that's what they'll get. You know, and able to get an offense in and a defense in, and of course Alabama's the same way. They only have the same amount of practice we have, and they're like us. They're in their state championships too, and their players are still playing with their respective schools. So, you know, there's no way that no one could get together any sooner
than
what we, you know, we'll all get through next Saturday night and load the bus and head over there and just try to make a good showing for the state of Mississippi. And you know, that's what I tell all of my coaches. You know, when we go there, that's my state championship. When we go there, a lot of them will be playing for it next week. So, you know, they know how serious I take it, and they know the dedication and the hard work we put in to make it, you know, a good experience for, you know, not only the players but the coaches, and to where they can go home and feel good about, you know, what we did. And you know, if we you know, a lot of times if we do come out on the short end, and you know, that will be okay, because we want to make them have a good experience, to be able to, you know, look back on it one day and look at the players that we have that go on in the college level, and the ones that are playing in the NFL right now. You just have a smorgasbord of players that have played in our ball game that just keep going and you know, love the game of football and just still support the state of Mississippi.
Well, in the week after that, we can guarantee a Mississippi win, because it'll be the best from the north and the best from the south down in Gulfport. To me, that's the most fun, entertaining game I get to call all year, because a lot of these kids know each other. They may have beat the other guy during the regular season. Now this kid really wants to win this ball game, and there's good camaraderie between these two teams.
Oh, well, that is, Russ, and you know, what a bonanza it is. The coach does a really, really good job hosting us, and you know, we do activities with them, and we house the kids, and just, you know, really just spend the whole almost a week down there with them, and they, you know, a lot of these kids, especially from the Jackson area north, a lot of, you know, maybe have not even seen the coast.
That's right.
Down to be able to see the sand, and you know, so we do things with them too to make it a special thing for them, and all the things that we do, and to you know, to make them have a great experience in their all-star game, and like I said, and like you said, you know, what a great competition we have of the players that will be playing in that ball game. We'll have players playing in that ball game that will play at Mississippi State or Ole Miss, or elsewhere next year. So the talent level in that ball game is just amazing.
Johnny, it's always good to have you on Friday Night Under the Lights, and really tip of the hat to you for the games that are coming up, and really we're pretty excited that MPB Radio is going to extend and carry those games for us too. So it'll be statewide everywhere. It'll be on everything that you can get to, and it should be a fun 2 weeks after the state championship games. Thanks so much for staying up with us, and we appreciate you so much, my man.
Russ, thank you for having me, man. And just again, I appreciate everything you and Chris Saxon does to get the show going and keep our show going, and just just want to thank you for what you do for the state of Mississippi.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Coach. We'll take a timeout, and we'll be back. Tonight's broadcast made possible by Cricket Wireless. Smile. You're on Cricket.
Man, that game was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm thirsty.
And I'm out of gas.
But we have to hurry because I have to be home at 11.
No worries. There's a Blue Sky convenience store at our next exit.
Yes, and they're fast and friendly and will get us on the road quickly.
And they have great gas prices.
All in favor of Blue Sky, say aye.
Aye.
Blue Sky convenience stores with locations all over Mississippi and one probably right near you. Blue Sky. They're always fast, fresh, and friendly.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket.
I love how Cricket has no hidden fees, no hidden charges. It's just predictable.
With Cricket, I can stay in touch with my grandson as much as I want without being concerned that my bills go up.
The 5G is like fast. It makes sharing photos of our projects and video calls super easy.
Switch for the speed, stay for the savings. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Every day at Malone, we exist to improve our community, embracing technology, empowering people, striving to be better than yesterday. Malone Roofing Services and Friday Night Under the Lights have been impacting Mississippi for decades with the skill and dedication that has developed lasting relationships in our respective fields. For roofing, metal walls, and maintenance, Malone Roofing Services has you covered. Find out more on social media and at ecmalone.com. But for great football, it's Friday Night Under the Lights.
Get your school on the network now.
I started at 23 with nothing but me. And I believe roofing should be a profession and a career. Generations of Malones have proven that there is nothing we can't accomplish. Malone protects people and your things that matter most.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights. Russ Robinson along with George Broadstreet, and Chris is producing tonight. By the way, Joel Norris is not with us tonight, and it's not just because 8-Man is over with. Joel couldn't be here tonight, but we do miss him. Noah's here, Ty's here. And if you'd like to talk to us, 877-672-7464. Would love to talk to somebody from Amory or Noxubee County. But until that time, let's go over the scores again for the people that are just now getting in their cars.
All right, Russ, let's start with 6A again. In the North 6A Championship, the upset tonight, Starkville defeated Tupelo by the score of 41-32 was the final. And also an upset of sorts in the South. It was Brandon prevailing over Ocean Springs by the score of 34-31. Ocean Springs and Tupelo were both undefeated going into those games and lost tonight. So it's Starkville and Brandon for the next weekend in the 6A Championship. In 5A, it was West Point prevailing over Vicksburg by the score of 14-0 in the North. In the South, it was Picayune beating Gaucher by the score of 49-14. And that will be the 5A matchup will be Picayune and West Point, which is I think was the matchup last year in 5A. In 4A North, it was Louisville winning over Houston by the score of 31-21. And in the South, Mendenhall defeated Stone by the score of 26-14. So Louisville and Mendenhall will be in the 4A championship. In the 3A championship, maybe the game of the night in a way, in overtime, it was Noxubee County coming from behind to beat Amory by the score of 52-51. And in the South 3A championship, Raleigh beat Hazelhurst 42-6. So it'll be Noxubee County and Raleigh in the 3A championship. 2A championship, Charleston in the north defeated Eupora 24-6, and in the south it was Scott Central over Velma Jackson 32-7. So that will bring the 2A championship will be Charleston and Scott Central. And in the 1A championship, McEvans in the north defeated Biggersville, previously undefeated Biggersville, 24-8. And in the south, it was Bay Springs over Taylorsville, 52-6. And so it'll be Bay Springs and McEvans in the 1A championship next weekend.
And by the way, they have flip-flopped the Friday night game. This year's going to be 5A on Friday night and 6A on Saturday.
Okay.
And nobody knows that better than Kerry Metzler.
Okay.
Because he'll be there at that 5A game, and he joins us here tonight. My goodness, a machine of running the football, the Maroon Tide of Picayune.
Russ, Maroon Tide played great tonight. I had a feeling after talking to Coach Stogner early in the week about the way they were prepping some things they were going to do defensively and an approach they were going to take offensively. I felt real good about the ball game. I felt that we would, honestly, I'm beat them a couple scores. Now, look, Goshen's a great team. They got a great quarterback, Irvin. Their receivers are great. They got some good guys on the defense. They're very well coached. Marcus Hyde's done a great job of that program. I just had a feeling tonight the Maroon Tide to say they were focused would be an understatement. I mean, this team this week probably had one of the best weeks they've had in quite some time prepping, and it showed tonight with a big win.
You're running, of course, you've got several running backs. We all know that story. We don't talk a whole lot about the quarterback for the Maroon Tide. Talk to me about him.
Well, Ray, I've talked to him about you a couple times with you about him. He's a junior. Tonight we only threw the ball twice. Brady's done a good job. He's probably thrown, I would say, 50 passes on the year just off the top of my head. I could look it up and tell you exactly here if you give me a second. But, the thing about Brady came in tonight, he was 33 out of 64 with 7 touchdowns on the year coming in tonight. But, the thing about the Maroon Tide, we throw it when we need to throw it, but for the most part, Maroon Tide is going to line up. And people don't get this unless you really watch it closely. But what looks like the same play 3 or 4 times in a row, it's really not the same play. It may run in the same play. It could have come off a different blocking scheme. It could come with a man in motion. It will come from a bigger split by one of the tackles or something, just an angle. The offense is all about angles. That's the way this thing was set up back when Coach Calvin Triplett came to Picayune with it in the late 70s, 80s, won a state championship in 86. Coach Lee coached on that staff. When he came back to Picayune in the mid-90s, he brought that back. And Coach Stogner, in his, a couple of years here as a head coach, he's added even more to it. So it's tried and true. It's about angles, and you ain't got to be super big. Our offensive line is not that big. I mean, we got a couple of guards under 200, or 2 guards in our center all under 200 pounds. But they execute so well. And Brady does a good job running this offense. Brady's a real smart kid. He's a 2-sport athlete. He's also a very good pitcher on a baseball team. He's a left-hander. Just does a real good job. And, in this offense, this quarterback, you've got to turn sometimes on that pitch and get out there and block, and he's not afraid to do that either.
Hey, Kerry, this is George. Is it based off the wing tee? Am that right?
Well, not really. It's
not really? Okay.
I mean, we haven't really, people say wing tee. I think when Coach Lee first came to Picayune, there was a lot of that, but we've kind of an eye set with a wing, and sometimes an eye set with a slot. Sometimes we'll go, 2 receivers each, one way, one the other. I mean, it's variations off that. And again, it comes down to angles, but I would say for the most part we're an I formation ball club.
Okay. All right.
The challenge for Picayune here is that you're playing a team and a coach that's used to being in this game and winning this game.
Well, yeah, and boy, Coach Stogner even addressed in the post game tonight. What Coach Chambliss has done at West Point. He's been to the state championship games more than you and I've been to buffets, Russ. Every time you turn around, he's there. And this will be the 3rd time in 4 years we've faced them in the state championship game. A couple years ago, they got the best of us in Coach Lee's final game, and then last year we were able to get the win. And this year it'll be another dandy. Two teams that aren't going to try to fool you. There'll be some trickery involved, but most teams are going to do what they do well, and that's run the football. They'll run it out of kind of a pistol or a shotgun at times or direct snaps. We'll run it mostly out of that eye, like I told George earlier. It'll be good. But, real quick, numbers tonight. Dante Dowdell tonight, 29 for 247 and 5 touchdowns. He had one run tonight, Russ, a 76-yard touchdown run. Probably one of the best runs he's made since he's been playing for the Maroon Tide, down the left sideline. Hurdled two guys, broke another tackle, stiff-armed one guy, and then he ran it in for the touchdown. And, of course, our fullback, Darnell Smith, who had the run of the century last year in the state championship game, they still talk about that run he made. He broke 9 tackles on one run last year, if you remember that.
I remember.
Yep. Yeah, he had 99 yards, 14 on 14 rushes. Now he also had a 36-yard touchdown. And then Chris Davis. Chris Davis is a phenomenal defensive back. He's our punter. He can play wide receiver. He had an interception tonight. Offensively, he had 7 rushes for 67 yards. His last one, the exclamation point, the 28-yarder, was a dandy. It was, as I said on the air after it was over, he looked like Todd, my cover guy, at one of his crimes, because he was dancing everywhere and getting away from people scoring.
Oh, goodness. Well, listen, we
hey, Russ, I want to say something real quick. I'm going to say this. I'm talking about all this offense. The play of the game was made by I believe this, at the end of the first half, Go State had the ball on our 38-yard line, 14 seconds to go, and Jamonte Waller, our junior defensive end, a lot of folks talk to him about next-level football. He's just a junior, but he jumps up and deflects the pass. He's a defensive end and intercepts it to stop them. We come out after that and get the ball in the third quarter. We hold the ball 7 minutes and 46 seconds. We go down and score and put us up 28-14. That 15-play drive kind of put a dagger in them from there. Maroon Tide just wore them out with the tall sweep and the belly play up the middle, and we win it 40-14. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about that play Waller made before halftime. To me, that turned the ball game around.
Well, I'll tell you, I think this one is very worthy of the flip-flop of Friday night, Saturday night. Both are great time slots, but it'll be in prime time on next Friday, and I know you'll be there, and we'll look forward to having you down there at Southern and calling the game. And, of course, the folks from West Point. I'll tell you what, there'll be a lot of people at that ball game, and we certainly, again, as you know, this is our last show for this year, and we want to thank you for all the times you've called and made us a part of your Friday night. And, gosh, it just gets better and better.
Russ, thank you. Thanks for all y'all do for high school football. Thanks for the many members you have created for us on Friday nights. And you and George and Chris do a great job. Ty answering the phone, that old switchboard, all those cables on. I sent you a picture of that last week or so. And y'all need to you got to put that picture of Ty with that old switchboard with the somewhere on your website.
I'm going to send it to Dave. Yeah, you're right. I'm going to send it to
Dave. Yeah. Hey, look, real quick, Todd wanted to clear something up. He said he never rubbed my toes last week. My toes were frozen. I thought he did, but I couldn't feel them. He only got down to the top of the feet. Never got to the toes. I got to clear that up.
Hey, we'll see you next weekend, my friend.
God bless you. Roll Tide, roll.
All right.
Now we got Greg Flynn.
Mr. Flynn was not busy tonight, but has been busy all year. And I asked Greg to come on and kind of talk about Central Mississippi in the football that was played because, Brandon got a win tonight. Did that surprise you, Greg?
Yes, actually it did. I thought that Hubbard was going to chew them up and spit them out down there at Ocean Springs. That Ray Hubbard, he is something special. I was able to watch Jake Wimberly's live stream, and what a classic football game that was. And to see Brandon come up with the late turnover and then drive down the field and kick a field goal, man, it was a really special football game.
Chris Ebelhair, who's on that broadcast too, texted me right when it was over, and he said an instant classic.
I think it definitely is. Yeah.
Well, you got a chance to see a lot of Metro football in this area, and of course, Brandon survives from this area, and I think Scott Central is, kind of in this area too. But what were your thoughts on the football season in this area this year?
It's kind of bittersweet, because they're closing the book on what we know is 6A,
Right.
and going to be going to 7A next year. Which, when you look at those 24 teams that are going to 7A, I mean, every week is going to be a titanic matchup. There are no gimme games anymore for anybody. But you look at it, it's such exciting times, you know, with what Clinton's been doing in Madison Central, and now look at Germantown, Northwest Rankin becoming relevant, and Brandon clearly on a great roll now, 2 straight state championship appearances. Pearl on the way back up. There's a lot to be excited about in high school football here, and you know, people will talk all the time. Oh, well, Texas and Florida, they had the best high school football. But, man, you just sit and you watch some of these games week in and week out. I would put our kids up against any of these other states. California, they're so talented, and it's just a joy to watch. It really is.
Hey, Greg, can you hang on for a minute because we're up against a break, aren't we, Chris? Or are we?
Yes, we are.
That's what. Greg, hang on. Don't go anywhere. We're going to step out of here for just a second. Come back and talk to Greg Flynn, who is the play-by-play voice for the Pearl Pirates. Got a lot of stuff going on tonight. If you want to give us a call, please do. 877-672-7464. Tonight's program made possible by the folks at Wi-Fi Sports or WSN Live. We'll be back.
Mississippians love football, and our high schools throughout Mississippi stay connected with their students, parents, and community by live streaming events, including football through WSN Live. WSN Live provides your school with everything you need for professional and seamless live streams that are easy for students to run, and your fans can watch online from anywhere on any device. With WSN Live, your school gets the right gear, a rock-solid network, and game-time tech support. Learn more at WSNLive.com.
Malones are competitive people. Come from a deep line with my father. There were 9 in his family, and they had to fight for everything they had.
My dad didn't allow us to have any quit in us. I mean, everything we did, we pushed hard. This isn't a job to us, it's our passion. We were bred to do this.
Man, that game was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm thirsty.
And I'm out of gas.
But we have to hurry because I have to be home at 11.
No worries. There's a Blue Sky convenience store at our next exit.
Yes, and they're fast and friendly and will get us on the road quickly.
And they have great gas prices.
All in favor of Blue Sky, say aye.
Aye.
Blue Sky convenience stores with locations all over Mississippi and one probably right near you. Blue Sky, they're always fast, fresh, and friendly.
Mississippians love football, and our high schools throughout Mississippi stay connected with their students, parents, and community by live streaming events, including football through WSN Live. WSN Live provides your school with everything you need for professional and seamless live streams that are easy for students to run, and your fans can watch online from anywhere on any device. With WSN Live, your school gets the right gear, a rock-solid network, and game-time tech support. Learn more at WSNLive.com.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights. We're talking with Greg Flynn, who is the play-by-play voice for the Pearl Pirates. And Greg, I think you make a really good point about 7A football. Is just going to be a brutal schedule, which means a lot of those 7A schools are going to be playing 4 and 5A games in kind of the non-conference games, it sounds like to me.
Well, you know what's going to be interesting, and it's sad to see them go, is, you know, I hate that Warren Central will be in 6A and won't stay in 7A with everybody else.
Right.
But I have a feeling a lot of these teams are going to be lining up to fill that board with Warren Central because they're a great non-conference opponent. So that's one that I would look out for. You know, but hopefully they're not going down too deep into the classifications, because you really need those good tests in your non-conference to get you ready for what you have to run the gauntlet through. So you never like to have your kids take a week off. I like the coaches that backload their schedule with tough non-conference opponents. It just gets the kids ready, I think.
Well, and to your point, Greg, Chris Jones up at Starkville loaded his schedule up this year. And in the first couple of weeks of September, we're writing Starkville off. This is not their year. They're not going to be around, blah, blah, blah. Where are they next Friday? Next Saturday? They're in the championship game.
Years ago, back in I guess it was the late 90s, I'll never forget working at Channel 12 and Provine High School under head coach Willie Collins back then. He they had started out the year 1-3 in their non-conference, and I said, "Oh well, it doesn't look like Provine's going to have much of a season." I said that on the air. I was like, "Well, their playoff aspirations don't look too hot." He said that. He put me in my place very quickly and was telling me that those first 4 games mean absolutely nothing. And do you know where Provine wound up? In the state championship game against Madison Central. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't ever judge a team by those first 4 weeks anymore.
Greg, the best, and I'll tell you this, and I'll let you go because we got some other people we got to get to. But the best Willie Collins story I ever heard was, what was the most expensive thing in their budget over there, and it was tile. And I'm going, why is it tile? He said they didn't have a workout facility, so they had all the weights out in the halls. And those guys would drop those barbells on those tile floors and just bust them up.
Oh, God bless Willie.
He was great. I mean, he was really, really, and he was a good coach, and he had some great talent. And that's another school that I think will benefit from some schools going up to 7A. So we'll just have to see.
On the flip side of that, there's a lot of schools that'll be able to stay more competitive now, being in 6A with more similar population schools around them. We'll see. Hey, I know it's a little too late for Thanksgiving, but people will have an opportunity at Christmas. If you would share with the people before you sign off tonight your recipe for the turducken that we had years ago. And for those of you out there that don't know, Russ, can he make a mean turducken where you stuff a chicken in a duck in a turkey?
That's for people that like dark meat and people that like white meat. Yeah.
I mean, you get the best of everything, baby.
Hey, Greg, we'll see. Hey, we'll see you doing the All-Star game next Friday, the MAIS All-Star game. And
that will be outstanding.
We always appreciate having you on. You're one of the best parts of our Friday night, my friend.
Well, you guys take care. You do an awesome job.
Thank you, brother. Thanks so much, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And John Marcus Duncan talk about that win last Saturday night.
Hey, JM, how are you tonight?
Hey, Russ, how are you? I'm just with some family over here in Huntsville, Alabama, but it's been a week to kind of celebrate that championship win for the Patriots last week. What a great win. You look at what Coach Goodwin did with this team, throughout the summer and throughout the season, and it was just continuous improvement with this group of guys. And the senior leadership that came through, you look at a quarterback like Paxton Thompson, who, people kind of, really was kind of in the shadows of some other quarterbacks in the league, and kind of flipped the switch in that championship game. And really, as I always say, the cream rises to the top, and that's what happened in that championship game. As Jackson Prep comes out on top, 21-14.
You had a chance to talk to Coach Goodman as he was walking out for the half, and I was really impressed with the fact that there wasn't any panic on the Jackson Prep side over there.
Very calm, and that's just Coach Goodwin. Our offices are right next to each other, and there's never any panic with Coach Goodwin. He's just kind of cool, calm, collective, and I think at halftime he's like, look, we just got to get our offense going a little bit. Our defense has kept us in the ball game. If we can get our offense going, we're okay. And then you saw the offense come to life right before half as Paxton goes on a 63-yard scamper, gets us back in the game at 14-7, and then we come out in the second half and have two scoring drives, long touchdown passes. One goes to William Laird, and the other goes to Will Upton, and that proved to be the difference in the ballgame.
Have you ever seen a better combo at wide receiver?
Those two are special. I mean, you've got one that just kind of sacrifice his body in Will Upton. You know, he kind of reminds you of a Wes Welker type of receiver, a possession type of receiver. And then you've got William Laird, your 6'3", 6'4" guy that'll just kind of go up and get the football, high points of football. But two remarkable catches to get Jackson Prep the lead, and then the backbone of that team all year has been that defense.
Yeah.
And they really rose to the occasion last Saturday night. You know, you look at that last drive where Duncan Matthews makes a shoestring tackle on the MRA tailback. Well, if he doesn't tackle him, he's gone. It's a tie ball game.
Yep.
And then Sam Watts comes up with what proved to be the sack of the game. And then Prep comes out, takes two knees, and that's it.
You know, John Weaver's going to be on with us at 11:30 tonight, and he was on the MRA sideline, of course, as wide receivers coach over there, and he went over and congratulated a couple of our kids and said, what a job. And he said, y'all hung together, and we'll get his thoughts on that ball game. But I just thought it was one for the ages, and it was one that really needs to be played in a venue that large, doesn't it?
Oh, no question. You look at both sidelines, and it was packed. Prep being on the visiting sideline, and there wasn't a seat over there, and MRA had the courtesy of the home sideline, which is much bigger than the visitor sideline, but that is the venue where that game needs to be played. That is a great place to play at Mississippi College. But I thought both schools were well represented with their fan support and their student support. And again, you got to look at that student section that Jackson Prep's been bringing all season, and it was fun to be a part of. Just kind of being right in front of them for those, for that 3.5 hour game. But man, what a season that these guys put together, and the coaching staff at Jackson Prep put together to come back on top. It's been 3 seasons since they've been in that championship game.
That's right.
And, to get back there and win it in the way they did it, it's obviously a season to remember.
And the 7-peat is safe.
7-peat, it is safe. It's still the longest one in the state. It's safe, and maybe they can try to. I'd like to see Prep go on a run and try to get to 8. That's a long way away. But one year at a time. And man, what a great! It was so much fun to be down there and just be around those kids and those coaches on the sideline. Last Saturday, and of course, I'm heavily involved with athletics out there, and it was an awesome feeling. It was just kind of a sense of relief. Just getting back on top.
Well, and like I tell you all the time, if this day job you have doesn't work out, you could always.
Well, I appreciate it.
You can always look at the broadcasting side because you did an outstanding job. John Marcus, thanks for staying up with us tonight, and my best to your family, and enjoy the rest of the holiday weekend.
Thank you, Russ. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the week.
All righty. Wow. Now we're going to get, John Weaver's going to be on in the second hour and talk about the MRA side. It was a classic as well. I mean, those two teams couldn't be any more the same than they were.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at something here a few minutes ago. There were 12 games in the MHSAA tonight. There was like 6 classifications. There are 2 games in each classification, a north and a south. And I thought this was interesting. But there were 6 visiting teams that won and 6 home teams that won.
Interesting.
So it was exactly parity there.
Huh.
But I thought that was interesting that Starkville and Brandon and West Point, all those, especially the 6A, the underdogs on the road won. So,
Wow.
It's just interesting.
It's going to set up a great weekend next weekend.
Yeah, it's really a lot of good games.
Great games.
Great games.
Glad to have MPB Think Radio carrying those ball games. Jared Schott hopefully will call us here in the second hour and talk to us about that. Right now, we're going to duck out of here and take a break. Tonight's show made possible by the folks at Cricket Wireless. It is the giving season. Smile. You're on Cricket. We'll be back.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket.
With my Cricket plan, everything is consistent. It's always going to be the same price. No worries.
Cricket is easy, it's affordable, customer service is top-notch. That's why I've been with them for so long.
I got my phone from Cricket and it's amazing. As a journalist, I use it for basically everything.
Great phones, great deals. Now that's a story. Smile. You're on Cricket.
When you hear the words blue sky, it means clear sailing. When you stop at a Blue Sky convenience store to fill you or your vehicle up, it'll also be clear sailing. Fuel at competitive prices and a total convenience store with the beverages and your favorite foods that you'll come back for. When you stop at Blue Sky, it means clear sailing. Blue Sky wants you to have a great holiday season and hopes that you enjoyed today's game. Blue Sky, fast, fresh, and friendly.
Malones are competitive people. Come from a deep line with my father. There were 9 in his family, and they had to fight for everything they had.
My dad didn't allow us to have any quit in us. I mean, everything we did, we pushed hard. This isn't a job to us, it's our passion. We were bred to do this.
Get your school on the network now.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights, the last show of the year. We always stop at the semifinals because the state championship games are next Friday and Saturday, and so this is the last hour of Friday Night Under the Lights.
Yes, it's the last hour.
We'll be 32 years old next year.
Wow,
32 years old, and we will have been with MPB over a decade of that, and very appreciative to that. You know, Jason called me during the summer and said, "Hey, man," said, we got a new studio. I was going, yeah, okay, well, whatever. He just got to come up here and see this. So I said, that's that voice from above that you hear. It's Jason. And I got here and I thought, wow, has this ever set up for us or what? And it has been probably one of the smoothest years we've ever had.
Oh, it's been really enjoyable. I mean, this is actually a kind of a professional setting.
Kind of. It is. We got 2 studios. We got
Which
2
is a little uncharacteristic for
us.
For us.
You never know where we were going to show up.
No,
but
we've been in much worse venues, I can assure you that.
But I think Chris Saxon's pretty much seen it all, trying to get us on. But it has been a good year at MPB, and you'll always want to stick around and hear their program. I love their concert programming. I just love the stuff that they run is really, really good stuff. Okay, a guy who wasn't busy tonight calling a game, but has been all year, right, Chris?
That's right. Josh West is here to talk.
Josh, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We're good. Have you checked out these final scores?
I did see some of these final scores, and I've been talking to some different people, and what a finish, Brandon, Ocean Springs. What a finish in the Noxubee County game against Amory. It was quite an entertaining night, and then, of course, there were a lot of dominant performances as well. But I'm peeking ahead at the forecast for next weekend. It's saying partly cloudy, 70 degrees. It's just, we order that good weather down here.
Well, you and I are going to have a lot of fun because we get that Raleigh-Noxubee game. You and I will be doing that one.
Well, Russ, I think they moved them around this year. I think we're actually going to get the Bay Springs Juggernaut again, and then Charleston, so 1A, 2A. So we'll have Charleston, and who's Charleston matched up with?
Charleston is we did this last year, or was it you and I did Scott Central game?
Scott Central and Charleston.
Yes, Scott Central. That's right, Scott Central, who is there every year.
Yep.
And then of course with Bay Springs just dominating Taylorsville, they'll come to that game as a heavy favorite. That's the one where they'll close the town down early, and then everybody down from Bay Springs just 30 minutes down the road, 45 minutes down the road. But no, it's going to be a great it's going to be a great week in Hattiesburg.
Well, it really is. And, not a lot of people know much about McEvans.
No, we were actually looking some information about, from Shaw, Mississippi, and we're looking up some information, just talking to a buddy of mine, Jay Henry, earlier tonight. And so we were kind of going trying to pinpoint Shaw, Mississippi. So it'll be educational when you watch next week as well, because we'll be informing people about where in the world is McEvans.
Well, you and I were talking earlier tonight, and you were watching the Florida State game, and something really interesting happened in that game.
Well, so we're talking, and it literally stopped me in mid-sentence, and I said, Russ, Trey Benson, is he with Florida State now? And you said, could be. And I'm going to my phone. Trey Benson from Greenville St. Joseph ripped off a just Mack truck 45-yard run on that opening series, scored a touchdown. Russ, he ended up with 20 carries for 111 yards and 3 touchdowns. Florida State gets the win. That's a former MAIS guy, and that means a lot to that league, and in particular that Greenville St. Joe program. They'll be in 3A next year. That they dress 30, 35 guys a week, but for a home for guys like Trey during the pandemic, and as that program was really kind of having a resurgence, and Trey, just such a great high school career, goes to Oregon for a couple of years, now is with the rebuild down in Tallahassee with Florida State. Trey Benson's a Mississippi guy, just another Mississippi guy who expect big things from, because he's closing in now, Russ, on 1,000 yards for the season. Ooh. So, you 1,000-yard season at Florida State, you're going to get some eyeballs on you, no doubt. And so he's just a big-time player. And then, it's neat when you get to broadcast those guys' games. I know you have a lot of those stories. But then having a guy like that who was there in Florida, playing Tri-County and dominating, had a dominant night when we played him. It was unstoppable, and you knew great things were going to happen for him. And so it's kind of where are they now, one of those where are they now stories to the show. Trey Benson is a superstar in the making.
Well, you had a great run at Tri-County this year, and boy, they're just a football machine over there. And then now, you and I get to work a couple of games on TV. That's always a lot of fun. So there's still a lot of football left. We get it next weekend, and then the 2 weekends after that. So still a chance to see a lot of high school football.
That's right, Russ. You're only just beginning.
That's right.
You finished with that.
That's right. Well, Josh, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks so much all year for informing us of what's going on. So many folks over at Tri-County listen to this show, and a lot of them listen to it because they know that you're going to give them a great report on it, and we just appreciate everything you do, and I'll look forward to seeing you. What tie do I need to wear? I guess that's the question.
You will have to coordinate that.
Well, we have our coordination meeting on Monday. All right, Josh. Yeah. Thanks so much, my friend. We appreciate it. Have a good rest of your holiday weekend.
All right, you too. Thanks.
All righty.
Jeff Hager's on the phone, Russ.
Let's go down to the Gulf Coast, where you probably had the marquee game of the night.
Are we talking Ocean Springs, Brandon, or are we talking about Picayune, Goshen?
Well, either one of them. Pick your poison on them. I think you probably had the 2 marquee games of the night. Let's talk about Ocean Springs first.
Sure. So I was actually not at that game. I was at Picayune, Goshen. So a lot of scoring in that first half. Ocean Springs kind of back and forth. They go into halftime leading 28-21, and doesn't it feels so familiar from that Oak Grove game last year where I think they went into halftime leading maybe 21-14 and then got shut out in the second half. So, I mean, going from scoring 28 points in that first half, only getting that field goal in the second half, losing 34-31 on the last second field goal. I mean, my heart breaks for them because, you know, they were going to be that team to, you know, bust that stereotype and, you know, get a coast team up there in 6A. But obviously Brandon very, very talented on the other side of the ball. So I haven't seen a whole lot of what exactly took place there, but season is over for Ocean Springs, and that was their first loss of the season. They haven't played a game closer than 17 points all year, and then they go down on the last second field goal. So you could almost make the argument, you know, not being in any close games, you know, how does that affect the team whenever they do have to win a close game? But yeah, I mean, before the Oak Grove game, I think they won every game by at least 3 touchdowns. So just disappointed to see it end that way for them. I was obviously rooting for them, covering them all year long. And Bray Hubbard, you know, easily one of the most special players I've ever covered in high school football, 10 years. I mean, he's electric. There's no doubt about it.
He's a Saturday player, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's gonna be hard to believe that David won't find a way to get the ball in his hands. He's going to see him in practice. You're like, whoa.
What do we got here? All right, the second marquee game, you knew what you were going to see going into that one.
Well, I knew we were going to get one of our teams to state, which was good, and then I kind of bit the bullet there, taking the longer drive to help our other comrades out. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, I kind of wanted that one, too, just having the last one go 48-42 in overtime for a region title. The stakes were obviously higher this time, and it felt different. It didn't feel different beforehand, but as soon as the game started, Picayune deferred and stopped Gaucher 3 and out, and just at that moment I was like, you know what, I don't think they're messing around tonight, and that, you know, championship swagger really, really came out in a big way, and they obviously adjusted something because Irving carved them up. Caden Irving, that is, carved him up last time on a lot of crossing routes. You didn't really see much of that. I mean, he was having to kind of scramble out of the pocket to give his receivers time to get open, and you know, obviously has some weapons. I could be wrong on this. I'm almost positive. I mean, just he had a couple long touchdown passes. I think he eclipsed 4,000 yards for this season passing, which is just outstanding. So, you know, hopefully we get to see him play football again. If not, he'll have a fantastic baseball career at Ole Miss, obviously. And Gaucher, I mean, first time ever in South State, so you got to give it up to them. Picayune, back to state for the third time in 4 years, second year in a row. So that team, I mean, it's like Picayune's won it all 4 times since, you know, MHSAA, and yet I don't think they've ever been back-to-back, and they've never had apparently a perfect undefeated season. So they still have more history that they can make by winning this final game of the season on Friday
but you're right, Jeff, but they're playing a team that also has a lot of history behind him, and also has been to that game a lot, and also has won a lot of those games with Coach Tamlis.
I'll be honest, I actually don't know who they're playing. I've been so under the gun.
They're playing West Point.
Okay, so that'll be the third time they've matched up in the last 4 years, so that'll be interesting. Wow. Can't wait for that.
Well, I think you're going to get a good dose of running the football with the Maroon Tide, and the number of backs that they have and how they run. And, you know, that's the way West Point does. I mean, they're ground and pound. And so it's going to be a football game that and you know what? They flip-flop the coverage this year. You know, normally 6A's on Friday night, 5A's on Saturday night, but they're flipping it, and 5A will be the Friday night game, and the 6A game will be on Saturday night. So it'll be a chance for a lot of people to go to that ball game. I was just talking, you may have heard it on the hold, to Josh West, and he was saying that he heard that the weather was going to be in the 70s.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll take that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've done them in the ice over there, so I in Jackson, so I can appreciate that. Hey, Jeff, before we go, a big thank you to you and to your staff for allowing you to talk to us on Friday night. I mean, you bring the coast to everybody in the state here on this show, and we appreciate you and all that you've done for Friday Night Under the Lights.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's a nice bit of closure every Friday to kind of talk about, you know, the main events. And by the way, Dante Dowdell hurdled 2 guys at least tonight, 5 touchdowns. So what a game.
And he's only a 4-star. What do you got to do to be a 5-star? That's what I want to know. Thanks, Jeff. We appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
All righty. We'll take a time out and be back with more in a moment.
Man, that game was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm thirsty.
And I'm out of gas.
But we have to hurry because I have to be home at 11.
No worries. There's a Blue Sky convenience store at our next exit.
Yes, and they're fast and friendly and will get us on the road quickly.
And they have great gas prices.
All in favor of Blue Sky say aye.
Aye.
Blue Sky convenience stores with locations all over Mississippi and one probably right near you. Blue Sky. They're always fast, fresh, and friendly.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket.
I love how Cricket has no hidden fees, no hidden charges. It's just predictable.
With Cricket, I can stay in touch with my grandson as much as I want without being concerned that my bills go up.
The 5G is like fast. It makes sharing photos of our projects and video calls super easy.
Switch for the speed, stay for the savings. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Every day at Malone, we exist to improve our community. Embracing technology, empowering people, striving to be better than yesterday. Malone Roofing Services and Friday Night Under the Lights have been impacting Mississippi for decades with the skill and dedication that has developed lasting relationships in our respective fields. For roofing, metal walls, and maintenance, Malone Roofing Services has you covered. Find out more on social media and at ecmalone.com. But for great football, it's Friday Night Under the Lights.
Get your school on the network now.
I started at 23 with nothing but me. And I believe roofing should be a profession and a career. Generations of Malones have proven that there is nothing we can't accomplish. Malone protects people and your things that matter most.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights. We'll be here till midnight tonight and awaiting your calls if you'd like to talk about your games tonight. 877-672-7464. And George, let's go over the scores we have before we go to the telephone.
Okay, Russ, we'll go with the finals again, starting in 6A. The North Championship game tonight, it was Starkville and Tupelo. And Tupelo had won 13 games this year, giving up 63 points in total. But Starkville goes in and defeats Tupelo in Tupelo. 41-32 was the final. In the South, it was Brandon traveling to Ocean Springs. Ocean Springs also undefeated, but Brandon comes away with a victory 34-31. So the 6A championship next Saturday night will be Starkville and Brandon. And Brandon in the state championship game for the second consecutive year. In 5A, in North, it was West Point defeating Vicksburg by the score of 14-0. In the South, it was Picayune rolling over Gaucher 49-14. So the 5A state championship is Picayune and West Point, which is the same game, or the same two teams met for the 5A championship, and Picayune won last year. They'll meet again Friday night next week. In the 4A state championship in the North, it was Louisville against Houston. Louisville won 31-21, and in the South, in 4A, Mendenhall defeated Stone by the score of 26-14. So Louisville and Mendenhall will meet for the 4A championship. In the 3A championship, or in the North, it was one of the better games of the night, maybe the game of the night. Noxubee County comes from behind late and beats Amory by the score of 52-51 in overtime. In the South, Raleigh defeated Hazelhurst 42-6. So the 3A championship game next weekend will be Noxubee County against Raleigh. In the 2A championship North, it was Charleston defeating Eupora 24-6. And in the South, it was Scott Central 32, Velma Jackson 7. So Charleston will meet Scott Central for the 2A crown. And in 1A, wrapping it up, in the North, McEvans, who defeated Biggersville, previously undefeated Biggersville, 24-8. And in the South, it was Bay Springs over Taylorsville by the score of 52-6. So McEvans will play Bay Springs for the 1A championship. And where did somebody told me where McEvans was? Who was saying that?
Was it Josh?
It was Josh.
Yeah, saying
it was in the Delta, but I can't remember.
Shaw,
exactly.
Mississippi.
Shaw, that's right, Shaw.
So I think we had our quarterback play from Shaw years and years ago.
Well, maybe so.
Where did Archie play?
He was from Drew.
Drew, that's right.
That's
I got
close.
them all mixed up.
Yeah.
Drew, Shaw, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. One of the better stories of this year has been Stone County because they just have come out of nowhere. And Wayne Fleury handles that broadcast over there. And Wayne joins us now. And Wayne, first of all, this really is a good story line for this high school football team this year, isn't it?
Well, it was, Russ. I mean, it had been 31 years since the Tomcats had made the South State Championship game. And, I mean, they start out 0-2 after their first two games, and Coach Feaster had done a marvelous job since he's been there, had the Cats in the playoffs every year, but either first round, one time I think to the second round, but it was really quite something to watch tonight. But, everybody thought the Tomcats, after the big win over Poplarville last week, what they did in the second half of that ball game last week was phenomenal. And, they just could not get the job done tonight. Mendenhall a little bigger, maybe not so much quicker, but a little bigger. And they played a very good ball game tonight as well. So Mendenhall will advance. But the Tomcats put up a good fight, guys.
Is this a senior-laden team, or is this a Stone team that could be back at this spot next year?
They're going to have some skill players coming back next year. Chaston Collins, of course, one of the electric guys to watch. He will graduate. His brother, Dalen, is a junior, so he'll be a senior next year. And there's one more Collins brother that's just a freshman this year. Of course, junior quarterback Connor Tice, he'll be back next year. And a couple of others across the offensive side. So not a rebuilding senior class that's going to leave. So they should have a little hope. But Russ, they're going through redistricting next year, and they're going to be in there with they're going to be a little fish in a big pond next year.
Who are some of the big fish?
Oh, Laurel, Wayne County. It just gets nice and interesting.
Wow. Do you like the redistricting every couple of years?
Well, doesn't matter whether I do or not, they're going to do it anyway. But it's going to force you to play differently. It's going to force you, it's going to make you a better football team.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like Stone coming out of the gates, for the last several seasons since Coach Feaster's been there. He doesn't take on pushovers like we see some of the D1 schools will do. They'll take on a couple of nobodies and run up the score. He goes for the big dogs. And when you come out taking on a couple of 6A schools as a 4A team, it forces you to play ball. And when Stone took on the Yellow Jackets, St. Martin, the 6A school, and then Biloxi right behind that, they played ball well. They just were outmanned, and Stone couldn't outlast them. But then you get into equal quality, teams, 4A schools, and it showed. That difference showed right there. They ran off 9 wins in a row, guys, after those first two.
That is so unusual as you know, Wayne, because this isn't your first rodeo. It's so unusual for a high school team to be able to do that in this day and age. And we've had some that did it. Ocean Springs ran the table until tonight. But as a rule, it's very difficult to A, repeat, and B, go undefeated.
That it is. And I think the Tomcats have a lot to build on. They will of course be back in the 5A bracket next year. I mean, it's going to be interesting next year to see. Of course, you don't expect them to make the South State Championship next year, but we didn't expect them really to be here this year, and they showed us a different football team. Got better as the season went along. I mean, they had a combined attack rush. I mean, you had a kid that rushed, a little over 1,300 yards, and Connor Tice as a junior. I mean, man, he did a phenomenal job. And Mendenhall's defense was just, they were able to shut us down tonight. I mean, they had four shutouts over the year, 5 shutouts over the year, and they came out and took care of business. But if you go back and watch it, it was a defensive struggle back and forth. The Tomcats, found out quick. Mendenhall got the ball first. 7 plays and 46 yards later, they turned it over on downs. And the Tomcats did pretty much the same thing. 6 plays and had to punt it away. But it was back and forth there for a little bit before the Tigers were able to get in the end zone, and they did it on 3 straight possessions. The Tomcats were able to answer them once, but it was a hard-fought ball game, and they fought to the very end. I'll say this about the Tomcats: they did not give up.
Well, it's a great story, and I'm excited for them because I know the folks down there, and I know how much that football program means to them. And I hate to, that's what makes semifinal weekend so difficult. Is that it's over.
It really does, but Todd and I were talking about it, later in the second half, and you try as broadcasters to remain upbeat, even when you can see the handwriting on the wall, okay? And Todd actually made a comment. He said, when all this is over, there'll be one team holding the trophy. And it's sad that more than one can't, but this is what you play for.
That's right.
Somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose, and unfortunately the Tomcats didn't advance tonight. But hats off to the Tigers. I'm telling you, those guys they're going to be ready for the North Division when they get to Hattiesburg next week.
Well, Wayne, we appreciate you staying up with us tonight and letting us know, because this is a great school down there, and tough way to end the season tonight. But you've been good to us all year long here on Friday Night Under the Lights, and we appreciate you so much giving us a call. And have a great holiday rest of the season, and then the rest of the holidays.
Man, I hope you guys do as well. Y'all do so much for high school football and have for so many years. It is fun doing what we do, and I look forward to next year. I encourage the fans and everybody tonight, nothing to hang your head over. The South State Championship game hadn't been here in 31 years. Now maybe, we'll pick up our luggage and go for next year.
That sounds great. Wayne, have a good night, my friend, and have a great weekend.
Man, you too. Merry Christmas to everybody. God bless you.
Thank you, brother. Wow, that's 31 years between South Championship games.
Yeah, that's a pretty good drought there.
I don't know of any other mascot Tomcat in the state.
No,
I think they're the only ones. By the way, our walking cyclopedia, Jason Klein, he runs sometimes, most of the time walks. Let me know that Boo Ferris, former baseball pitcher and of course coach at Delta State in baseball, and Bill Triplett, who played football, were both from Shaw, Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
So I knew there was a tie. I was trying to, when you get my age, I just tried to figure out now who is from Shaw and who is from Drew. Oh yeah, a guy by the name of Manning's from Drew.
Yeah. You just don't buy any green bananas, do you? You may not last till they write.
May not last at all. Hey, if we still got some time, I hope we're going to be talking with either Chris Ebelhair or Jake Wimberly or both. And also, Jared Schott's supposed to give us a call about the games next week. And then John Weaver will wind it up tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we heard a little bit about that. Well, we've heard several people comment on the Brandon Ocean Springs game and what a great game it really was.
Yeah.
I wish we could hear somebody, maybe give us a little something on the Tupelo game.
Me too. I mean, of all the scores tonight, that one probably surprises me the most.
That's probably the biggest shocker for sure.
And I'm going to tell you what, and Chris Jones up at Starkville, well, he's getting his players back too. I mean, a lot of people didn't realize he had some players out.
How many times has Starkville been in that 6A championship game in the last 10 or 12 years?
A bunch.
A lot.
A lot. All right, we're going to duck out of here, take a time out. If you'd like to give us a call, 877-672-7464. Ty is awaiting your phone calls right now. We'll take a time out and be back with more Friday Night Under the Lights in a moment.
Mississippians love football, and our high schools throughout Mississippi stay connected with their students, parents, and community by live streaming events, including football through WSN Live. WSN Live provides your school with everything you need for professional and seamless live streams that are easy for students to run, and your fans can watch online from anywhere on any device. With WSN Live, your school gets the right gear, a rock-solid network, and game-time tech support. Learn more at WSNLive.com.
Malones are competitive people. Come from a deep line with my father. There were 9 in his family, and they had to fight for everything they had.
My dad didn't allow us to have any quit in us. I mean, everything we did, we pushed hard. This isn't a job to us, it's our passion. We were bred to do this.
Man, that game was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm thirsty.
And I'm out of gas.
But we have to hurry because I have to be home at 11.
No worries. There's a Blue Sky convenience store at our next exit.
Yes, and they're fast and friendly and will get us on the road quickly.
And they have great gas prices.
All in favor of Blue Sky, say aye.
Aye.
Blue Sky convenience stores with locations all over Mississippi and one probably right near you. Blue Sky. They're always fast, fresh, and friendly.
Mississippians love football, and our high schools throughout Mississippi stay connected with their students, parents, and community by live streaming events, including football through WSN Live. WSN Live provides your school with everything you need for professional and seamless live streams that are easy for students to run, and your fans can watch online from anywhere on any device. With WSN Live, your school gets the right gear, a rock-solid network, and game-time tech support. Learn more at WSNLive.com.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights. 30 minutes to go. Glad to have you with us on this semifinal Friday. Don't forget, we've got the championships next week. And then we have the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star Game from Mobile, which will be on MPB Think Radio, among a lot of things. FridayNightUnderTheLights.com, Roku, Fire Stick. I know I'm missing one. I know YouTube and Facebook. Dr. Dave will have it all up on the website. Probably, well, he's vacationing. It may not be until tomorrow morning. Sometime it'll be on there. All right, Chris, who do we have?
Jake Wimberly.
No, he's not excited tonight, are you?
Russ, how in the world are you?
I'm not near as good as you are tonight.
Well, I've got in tow here PG with me, Purvey Green, and Chris Ebelhair. We're headed back up 49, so... Russ, there's moments like this. I think we could stay up all night. I don't think we'll have a problem getting in.
Just come on by and see it. Well, first of all, you're in good company. Secondly, what a game. The question is, how did you shut him down?
Russ, it was amazing to watch the way Brandon was able to do this. And, you've talked to Sam and got to know Coach Williams and Brandon.
Oh, yeah.
He's just he's a different guy. He's wired a little different. Sometimes he comes off a little different. He told us this week, he said, hey, look, our goal is to put Ocean Springs
in a place they've never been and see how they respond. And what he meant by that is, look, they haven't played in a four-quarter ball game all year long, and we want to take them into that fourth quarter, into that place they've never been, and see. And, you know, you got to credit Ocean Springs. I mean, look, it was such an amazing environment.
Mm-hmm.
They packed out the peep down there, and it was just, the first time since 2004 that they've hosted a game like that. You got to go all the way back prior to Katrina, which is amazing to think about.
Wow.
And, you know, it was just a heck of a crowd, and Brandon brought a great crowd. And, you know, they came out all guns a-blazing, and, you know, they got up 14 points. But Brandon really pulled out all the stops here, made some adjustments. And, look, you know, we're talking about big play after big play for Brandon. They kicked 2 onside kicks, recovered both onside kicks at various points in the game. You know, big plays from Nate Blunt at running back. You talk about Lester Miller, who, you know, and I've said this, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Aiden Williams, best receiver in the state. If there's no Aiden Williams, it's Lester Miller at Brandon, because the way that he can play, committed to Akron, tonight he went almost over 200 yards receiving. They could not stop him on the field, and Coach Williams told us, on the field before the game, he said, hey, we're going to take shots. We're going to have shots to take. We're going to take them. And then just big plays from quarterback Landon Barnes. And you get down to the second half of that ball game, and the way that ball game unfolded, held Ocean Springs to 3 points in the second half. You know, and one of the things I think that Brandon was able to do is just their ability to run with Ocean Springs. They had not seen that this year. But, you know, it got down nip and tuck, and then Brandon had an opportunity to drive down and win in a tied ball game. Landon Barnes throws a pick to Bray Hubbard with about 2 minutes left, and you thought, you know, this is fixing to be a moment where they can capitalize and go win a ball game in front of their home crowd. They cross the 50, and then they fumble the ball back to Brandon. And 3 plays later, Brandon sets up a walk-off field goal. And, you know, this is the 5th time in 12 years Brandon has played in a South State championship. And, you know, they've won 2, lost 2, now won a third one. This is the first one on the road. And I'll tell you what, it was a classic for sure.
Wow. I mean, how much time was there on the clock when you kicked the field goal?
I believe it was 1 second, but they set it back to 3. So there was 3 seconds left on the clock.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Yeah. All right, you're running back. You know, he had a great game last week. How many yards did he wind up with tonight?
I believe, talking to Brandon Shields, unofficially right around 190 tonight. And, you know, he was visibly gassed tonight. I mean, he went over 30 carries last week. He was over 30 this week. And Ocean Springs hit him. I mean, they hit him hard. I mean, again, that's a very physical team. But he was close to, I believe, 190 and a couple touchdowns. And, look, probably the biggest play that he made is when Brandon was down, I believe, a touchdown, and trying to tie this thing back up early third quarter after an onside kick on 4th down. Landon Barnes drops back on a play-action pass. Ocean Springs defender come loose, and Landon just throws it. Blunt's coming out of the backfield, and he spies the ball like a center fielder with a baseball and catches it and, gets it down to the 5-yard line. But, again, Nate Blunt, he is absolutely the heartthrob of this team, and he is the leader as a junior on this team for Sam Williams.
Well, you can enjoy this one. I know Coach Williams will enjoy it till he gets to the house. You know, then he's going to pull out some film on Starkville, who is not the Starkville that started the football season.
They are not. You know, and you know, I can remember everybody talking about it probably 3-4 weeks in that, well, maybe they just, Starkville was a little overrated, and then you heard players were hurt, and then all of a sudden, you thought maybe they're not even going to make the playoff.
Right.
And then they make the run at the end of the year, and we've seen this happen before in Mississippi high school football. And then they make that run, and then they have just been a buzzsaw, in the north half with Clinton last week, and then, of course, at Tupelo this week. So, I haven't had a chance to even think about, what this matchup may look like, but I can imagine it may go something like what we saw tonight.
Well, I think to me, of all the surprises, it didn't surprise me that Brandon won at all. I mean, but there were some surprises tonight, and one of them was Tupelo, I thought.
Absolutely.
I just thought they were going to run.
Yeah, when you talk about Tupelo, and I don't remember the exact number on their home field, they'd only given up around 35 or 45 points all year long, and for Starkville to go up there and track meet them the way they did. Just two really, really unbelievable 6A games tonight on both ends of the state, and literally the upper north half and the lower half, so to speak. And I don't know that you could have drawn it up any better.
No, I don't think you could have. I tell you, it was just an outstanding win for Brandon. It's kind of, Jake, they're kind of becoming a tradition of getting in here to this game.
It really is. We were talking about that, and Purvey talked about it on our broadcast tonight. He said, hey, look, this is an opportunity for Brandon to kind of have a program-changing type deal where, Brandon's going back-to-back state championship games and having to go on the road, not having the luxury of playing these games at Bulldog Stadium, and Brandon to have to go into hostile territory. It's a chance for Sam Williams to kind of change the face of this program. I mean, again, you go all the way back. Brad Peterson really started this, and Tyler Peterson carried the torch, and now Sam Williams has picked it up. And it has really been an unbelievable 2 years that Coach Williams and his staff, what they put together here.
It really has, and I think that Sam may be one of your more underrated coaches, not because the people, because he hadn't heard it, but because a lot of people don't know his background. But he's won everywhere he's been, and when Brandon hired him, I thought, wow, what a great hire for this football program. You got such a small venue over there at Brandon to work with.
Yeah, it's not too big. We need maybe think about an expansion.
The only expansion would be a dome over the top of it. Jake, it's so good to hear from you, and Chris has been so good at being able to call in. And Purvey lives in my daughter's neighborhood. I get to see him every once in a while, and boy, congratulations on a great win. I'll see you up there or at Southern next weekend on and off, and we just appreciate you calling in tonight. So good to hear from you.
Russ, I appreciate you. We'll see you next Saturday.
All righty, bud. Thanks, man. Bye-bye.
John Weaver to visit with you.
Good morning, John. Oh, it's evening, John. I'm sorry. It's about to be morning, John. How are you, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Watching the Egg Bowl again.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been up this late since football season's over, so a week removed. And what better way to spend the Saturday night that I'm off from state championship game appearance than spending with you guys on FNUTL.
That ball game, I said this a few minutes ago on FNUTL, was that these teams were so evenly matched. I mean, in just about every area, every position. It was a classic, I thought.
It was. We had a bunch of injuries early, but this game, you saw the one that happened earlier in the season when we had them at home, how tight that one was. John White kind of sealed it at the end with the I think 36-yard QB scamper. And then you go into the championship game and we go up 14-0, and you're thinking, uh-oh, here we go. Like, can we hold on to this?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the firepower that Prep has, and two of the best dudes that on the offensive side of the ball I've seen was Will Upton and Paxton Thompson. And those two got loose when Paxton had that run, 60-yard run to close it to 14-7, going to the half. And then, we had some blunders. And anytime you have 6 turnovers, a good team's going to capitalize on that. And it was a classic game. It was. And I'll tell you what, I went and saw Paxton and Will after the game, and for those guys, it hurt. Look, as a coach, you want to win them all, obviously. Sure. But the two types of players those guys are, to go what they've been going through, 3 coaches, 3 years, those two guys are too good not to close out a high school career with a state championship.
Well, and you going over there and speaking to those guys and telling them, congratulations says a lot about you and your program over there at MRA. I mean, it's just class, and it's just going to get better. I mean, now we've got one of our away games that's not going to be around anymore, which will be the Park Lane game. So now it's going to be an away game that probably a lot closer for you than it is for Brett. But you're looking about 15 minutes down the road, and then bringing in St. Joe. So, but the thing about MRA is that you got your full backfield coming back.
Yeah, Charles Stinson comes back. John White comes back. 4 of our 5 offensive linemen are back. Oof. And then we lose
Godwin,
Rivers Godwin, and we lose Jeremiah Short, who was on and off, had injury bug throughout the season, but we gained 4 freshmen that played a significant role down the stretch. And, I'm pretty excited about those guys. Ben Horner is also back, who played the Y position for us, and we'll bring back Camp Seegers, who saw action outside and inside. So offensively, we should be okay. Defensively is a different story. The backfield, the secondary, I should say, is going to be new next year. So a tale of two sides of the ball.
Yeah,
a tale of two sides of the ball. But with Herbert Davis at the helm, he'll have them. He'll have us right, have them right, and I expect to see us in prep again in the state championship. I don't want to speak too soon, but in 361 days, I wouldn't be surprised if it was those two teams again.
I wouldn't either. Now, one other thing that I wanted to touch on was that you're going to be coaching in this futures game. Tell me a little bit about this game, how it came about, and who gets to play in it.
Yeah, so this is, I think there's mixed emotions across the association with this, with anything that is new.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are raising their eyebrows, but it's a playoff of the All-Star game, and there were futures games in soccer this year. They had a futures baseball game.
Yes, they did. It was good.
Now they're bringing it into the football realm, which I think is a fantastic idea to showcase these guys, because look, they're going to play in other games. These underclassmen are across the nation. So why not have one for our association? So what we're doing is we're playing this Thursday at 6:30.
Hey, John, can you hang on to that thought for a minute, because we're going to step out, take a hard break here. But I want to come back and talk about this game and where people can go and see it and all that. Stay with us for just a couple more minutes. You're up.
Good.
Okay. Hey, that's John Weaver on with us right now. We're going to take a timeout, and we'll join John back again on the other side and take it to midnight. Hang on.
Mississippians love football, and our high schools throughout Mississippi stay connected with their students, parents, and community by live streaming events, including football through WSN Live. WSN Live provides your school with everything you need for professional and seamless live streams that are easy for students to run, and your fans can watch online from anywhere on any device. With WSN Live, your school gets the right gear, a rock-solid network, and game-time tech support. Learn more at WSNLive.com.
Malones are competitive people. Come from a deep line with my father. There were 9 in his family, and they had to fight for everything they had.
My dad didn't allow us to have any quit in us. I mean, everything we did, we pushed hard. This isn't a job to us, it's our passion. We were bred to do this.
Man, that game was awesome.
Yeah, and I'm thirsty.
And I'm out of gas.
But we have to hurry because I have to be home at 11.
No worries. There's a Blue Sky convenience store at our next exit.
Yes, and they're fast and friendly and will get us on the road quickly.
And they have great gas prices.
All in favor of Blue Sky, say aye.
Aye.
Blue Sky convenience stores with locations all over Mississippi and one probably right near you. Blue Sky. They're always fast, fresh, and friendly.
Mississippians love football, and our high schools throughout Mississippi stay connected with their students, parents, and community by live streaming events, including football through WSN Live. WSN Live provides your school with everything you need for professional and seamless live streams that are easy for students to run, and your fans can watch online from anywhere on any device. With WSN Live, your school gets the right gear, a rock-solid network, and game-time tech support. Learn more at WSNLive.com.
Welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights. When we last left you, we were talking with John Weaver from Madison Ridson Academy, and John was talking about this futures game. John, I get it. I understand why people might raise their eyebrow, but I watched the futures baseball game. It was exciting, and it really kind of gives you a look-see at what's coming. So where is this game, and when is it, and do we know ticket prices and where to get tickets and all that?
Yeah, so it's one of those cool things. Chris Chance had put it out there. Aubrey Blackwell from JA is going to be the head coach of the white team. I'll be the head coach of the red team. And just a cool opportunity, I think, for our underclassmen to showcase. You know, they have the All-Star game will be on Friday of that week, so
Right.
December 2nd.
Right.
Which is it's a finality to their high school football season unless they're going to play college. But I think this gives those juniors like, hey, this is one more time to put the pads on, maybe get some film against guys that are really good and showcase what they can do. So we'll practice Tuesday morning and Tuesday afternoon, and we'll go Wednesday morning and Wednesday night, and they'll have a walkthrough on Thursday, and then we'll play Thursday night at 6:30 at MRA, and it's going to be a fun little deal. MAIS Championship Network's going to cover it. I mean, it's a full deal, just like, you know, just like the North-South game. You're going to have a red-white team. We drafted teams. That was really cool. Aubrey Blackwell and I were in a room on like 3 Sunday nights ago drafting this team. It was one of those cool things. And, you know, anytime you get to play or coach in a game after Thanksgiving, I mean, there's only a couple of teams. I mean, I think so many times, Russ, when you take and you blink, sometimes you take those championships for granted. And being in those, I mean, you look at Ocean Springs and Tupelo, who were at home and had full intentions of going and playing in them. They had 2 road teams come in and take them. So I go back to, you know, this Futures game or any football game, you know, next thing you know, you blink and they're gone. So coaches, if you're listening, players, if you're listening, never take those for granted. And look, it's not easy getting there, and it sure as heck is not easy to win them.
No, and it's bittersweet if you're a senior. I mean, you know, but this is an opportunity for. Is it just juniors or sophomores eligible as well?
It's sophomores and juniors. Sophomores. So what happened was coaches submitted names, and then it went through a review process. They had to submit huddle, and it went through a review process. And then he had, I think, some graduate assistants or something from somewhere look at that film and rank those players. And
wow,
we got to pick from a group. Yeah, it's a real deal. So I mean, it wasn't just, hey, let me nominate this kid, this kid, this kid, this kid. You had to have, you know, some footage of you, and then somebody ranked you. And I mean, so the fact that, you know, on the outside looking in, I think it's like how these guys get picked. I mean, there was a process for these guys, and here's the kicker. If you're a coach and you want your kids to play in this, submit their name next year. I think that was the biggest thing. But anytime something new, like I said before, it's a raise of the eyebrow, and like, what are we doing? I think it's a wonderful thing to showcase these underclassmen athletes.
Might we see Simpson in this game?
Any Simpson players? Or
no, I'm talking about Charles.
Yes. So Charles Simpson, during the draft, I was not able to get him. Aubrey looked at me and he goes, "I'm taking Simpson." I was like, "Okay, I'll see your Simpson I'll draft A.J. Parker." So
there you go.
It was one of those fun little things. We did get to draft some of our own, but it's just, I think it's a fun time because the All-Stars, like I said, they're done. They're seniors. They're done with their season. They're going to be guys coming back next year and playing against each other, and some that won't even see each other in the regular season. There's guys from East Rankin. There's 3 8-man people that have made this roster. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So a chance for these guys to showcase their talents at a younger level. To quote LeBron James, you know, just to take their talents to another game. You know, I think it's a fun thing. And I hope it grows. I think there's going to be a basketball futures game, but just another way our association's thinking outside the box, and letting them showcase these younger kids.
I think it's a great idea, and it should be. If you follow, obviously, you and I, follow the MAIS a lot. But even if you're just a fan of football, to see the talent that's going to be on the field will be a lot of fun, and these kids getting to showcase, and you get an idea of what you've got coming back next year. So it should be a lot of fun, and it starts at kickoff. Is it 6:30?
6:30 at MRA. It'll be on Old Canton Road. I think I'm laughing about this. I think some coaches are like, I don't want my kid to play in it because you might get hurt. Well, kids will get hurt walking down the street. They twist their ankle on the curb.
That's exactly right.
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So I just think it's one of those exciting times. It's football. It's after Thanksgiving. There's only a handful of games that are now played on Thursday, Friday, Saturday for public school, and we get to showcase 2 all-star games on Thursday and Friday.
That's awesome. We'll have my parking space ready.
Will do. And I'll have you a pregame. If you want a pregame, I can arrange that too.
There you go. There you go. John Weaver, hey, before I let you go, you have been so good to Friday Night Under the Lights this year. And, you've called from buses and called late and had Herbert Davis on and just, brought so much to the table here for our show. And I just wanted to thank you and wish you and your family and the MRA family a wonderful holiday season. And we look forward to having you back on the show again next year, of course.
Yes, sir. I'm going to second that. And thank you to you and your team. And I sent you that in a text when you asked me about coming on the Coach's Corner. And anything for you and your team. You do an amazing job of covering high school athletics on Friday nights when people want to know scores and want to know insights from different people. So kudos to you and your team for putting an A-plus product out there for high school coaches and fans across the whole state of Mississippi. So thank you as well.
Thank you, John. We'll see you Thursday, bud.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Al. Wow. We got 5 minutes left in this 32nd year.
Yeah.
Biggest story, you think, for this year in high school football?
Man, that's hard to say.
That is.
Gosh, I don't know. I think one of the stories, though, Tupelo was so dominant all year long in 6A and in the North. And Starkville was the only team that had played Tupelo even close, within 7 points. And Starkville goes and beats Tupelo tonight. I think that's a story. I don't know if it's the biggest, but it's certainly one of them. Ocean Springs had kind of run the table all year long.
Yep.
Brandon goes down there and beats them. That's certainly a story. And there are a lot of other stories. Picayune. I mean, gosh, Picayune, there was a little bit of an upset that they beat West Point last year in the 5H state game championship game. They have smoked everybody except that game against Gaucher about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Escaped.
They got Gaucher and beat them pretty bad tonight, 49-14. But there's certainly a story. I mean, Picayune's won a lot of football games in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yes, they have. You think another team that Scott Central has. They're averaging
Scott Central. Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you one of the more interesting stories of this year, I think, has been the emergence of Vicksburg. This is a program that had gone away for all practical purposes.
Yeah, I mean, haven't heard anything out of Vicksburg, in
long time. Yeah,
years. And Vicksburg at one point in time, we always used to tease about this, but they were in the Big 8. Back in the day, they were in the. I mean, Vicksburg was a big time football program.
Right. And Warren Central was not.
That was before Warren Central even existed.
Right.
And Warren Central's kind of gotten since the 70s. I mean, Warren Central has had a good program, and Vicksburg, we haven't heard much from them, but hey, they were in the North 5A championship.
That's right. Nobody picked them to be there.
No.
So there were some great stories. I think, to me, another kind of a great. I think Joel. You tip your hat to Joel for the coverage he's given 8-man football.
He's not here tonight, but we laugh and we tease him, but he's done a great job with that. You just gave it to him and he just run with it. And he's got a podcast of all things.
And he's got a big following.
Yeah.
And it's a good product. And how about John Weaver just saying they're going to have 3 on the All-Star, on that Futures game.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, these kids deserve the coverage that everybody else gets. That's what we thought, and Joel did a great job with it.
Let me throw in one more there. Prep. I mean, the resurgence back of Prep, which Jackson Prep, they won everything for years and years and years, and they kind of, I don't say they took a step back, but maybe they sort of did in the last couple of years, and, they got a new coach, and he kind of found a way to rally the troops, and they look pretty good
in his first year.
Yeah.
He's got a dry wit about him. I just like him a lot.
Yeah, he's a real laid back guy.
He really is.
Because I saw him the TV interviews, and he was just like, yeah, we won. You
got guys pulling their shirts and their helmets off and all going crazy, and they're going, "Yeah, we won." And he's going, "Yeah, it's a good win for us." But it was a great football season. It was, and I want a big thanks to Cricket Wireless for stepping in there this year and making this show possible. And they're going to be with us through the playoffs, and also Malone Roofing and WSN. WSN. There's so many people streaming today. That's how. You heard Johnny Mims tonight say that he was able to watch bits and pieces
Isn't that
of 16.
crazy?
It's nuts.
It's crazy. I mean, it really is kind of interesting. But, football's still football, And
I'll tell you what, Friday night's still Friday night under the lights, and I'll tell you, it's still an audio show that people hit their cars and listen to.
Right.
And there's no telling how you can count those numbers. Big thanks to Chris Saxon for producing this year, for Jason Klein and Liz for handling it on MPB, for Ty on the phone, and Noah Crow for digging up all these scores and stories, and Joel Norris for the Big 8, and for you, my stereophonic compadre. How many years is this?
I don't know.
Too many to count, I'm sure. But Russ Robinson saying so long. Enjoy your rest of the high school football season, and we'll see you back here next August. Good night, everyone.